Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, April 3rd, 2009. Wind swell is starting to build along the California coast, and I wanted to show you what's going on with that on the models, as well as other swell that's going to be headed our way. Looks like we might have some wind problems along with this wind swell that's coming in right now. Sunday should clear up quite a bit. Wind swell should drop off. Should see a little bit of southern hemi come up. And we're looking at also then the possibility of foul weather next week. Wind swell would be on the rise early next week, but weather could also be a factor as we get a wintertime type storm moving down along the California coast. A little bit of other stuff showing up on the models, a little bit of stuff coming off the Western Pacific for right around the 10th time frame for us in Southern California, and also looking at a little bit of stuff coming up from the Southern Hemisphere around the 10th, possibly building a little bit better into the 12th and 13th time frame. So I wanted to show you everything that's going on across the Pacific. This is what's happening right now. Start out talking about the weather models. We can see a lot of what's going on as far as the wind swell is concerned. Low pressure system dropping down through the fringes of the California coast and a little bit through the interior of California as well. Biting up against high pressure out in the Pacific is causing some very tight gradients, and of course then north to south winds along the coast to stir up that wind swell fetch. Also looking at an Aleutian low that's going to be causing some problems shortly. As we see over time, that low pressure system from the California area is going to be moving out, so that's going to allow high pressure to move into the area. So a pretty nice weekend. Wind swell will then fade. We can see that Aleutian low is going to keep descending toward the area. In fact, when we look out by about Monday's time frame, that's this model right here, we can see that that low would be sitting right off the California coast, starting to cause some winds to come in, stirring up some wind swell fetch in the outer waters. And then by Tuesday, that's supposed to be smack dab right over Southern California. And of course, that's expected to bring some weather, some winds. The wind swell would also be in the water as well. The wave analysis models are in sync with the weather models. We can see that there's a little bit of wind swell fetch that's starting to form off the Southern California coast, and that will be increasing on Saturday in SoCal. Aleutian low, we can see that very well up there, high in the Aleutian chain area. And then there's another system, a Western Pacific fetch I've been talking about in my wet sand reports that's going to be bringing us some swell in around the 10th time frame. As we see the models progress further, this is looking out at Saturday's time frame, a little bit more wind swell off the California coast. So we're looking at an increase around west-facing breaks. It's going to be very steep angled. And as the models keep progressing, we can see that that Aleutian low, just like the weather models are showing, wants to dive down toward our area. So that'd be throwing us swell and then, of course, stirring up wind swell in our area. But looks like by the time it arrives, we're also going to see then some rain move into the area. Models move out even further. We see the Western Pacific storm dissipate, and that's not very good news. We're still going to see some swell out of that, but since it dissipated way up into the Aleutians, we're not going to see near as much as what we'd like to actually get out of it. That'll be right around the 10th. Something also coming up then for Sunday time frame. We're looking at, this was a few days ago down in the Southern Hemisphere, a system that you might have seen on my previous swell scan reports. Formed near Chile, too much of an eastward trajectory, way past the Southern California latitude of about 100 to 120 degrees, but still seeing a little something on Sunday come up from that. This is what's happening now, though, in the Southern Hemisphere, a little bit of a fetch down in the Southern Ocean south of New Zealand. That should be bringing us stuff in around the 10th time frame when we start seeing some of that minor Westpax energy also come in. And we look out on the models. This is 36 hours out. The system isn't really traveling on a very favorable trajectory. Very small surf would be coming out of that. But then 72 hours out, it looks like that could get some reform, possibly strengthen a little bit. And then if we look even a little bit further out, it looks like that system could actually get some northward progression. That isn't a very powerful system, though, only maybe about 25 to 30 foot seas here when it starts progressing northward, but we should still see something out of that if this does all occur around the 12th to 13th time frame. We'll have to see how that all progresses over the next few days. So that's how things are shaping up right now. A lot of wind swell in the forecast, a little bit of stormy weather possibly moving then through by Tuesday. Looks like we're going to have a fair weekend, though. A little bit of southern hemi then creeping in on Sunday. Saturday looks like it's going to have some possible wind problems, though, and a lot of choppy wind swell in the water, though south-facing breaks may pick up some cleaner wrap from this, but I wouldn't call it an epic or clean swell by any means. Then it looks like around the 10th or so, we'll start to see some cleaner swell come in from the Western Pacific, although not expecting a whole lot of size out of that. Also a little bit of southern coming up from the Southern Hemisphere around that time, and possibly lasting that southwest swell, possibly into the 12th and 13th, but it's a little bit early to call that today. I'll be keeping a close eye on it, though, and I'll be keeping you posted. And if you want to check out all the details on the ETAs on the swell, the winds, weather, tide, and more, you can always check out my SoCal Surf Report at wetsand.com.